Alrighty, so for homework problem number 2, in order to find the odds that a taxpayer is going to be audited, we need 2 pieces of information. The first thing we need is the probability of being audited. So P for probability, A for audit, the probability that they will be audited. And it tells us in the problem that that is 1.4%. So in order to use this in a more manageable fashion, we're going to convert this percent to a decimal. And in order to do that, I'm going to move the decimal point 2 places to the left, which means that it will now be 0.014. So the probability of being audited is 0.014. The probability of not being audited, remember that little tick mark I just added there means not being audited, means that you take the whole number 1 and you subtract the probability of being audited. So the probability of not being audited would be 0.986. So we need these 2 pieces of information. We need the probability of being audited and the probability of not being audited in order to make our next formula work. So the odds in favor of an audit, and guys, in case you haven't figured it out yet, my handwriting is horrible. Okay, so the odds in favor of an audit is the probability in favor of there being an audit divided by the probability against there being an audit. So the mathematical notation we used for that already, like I've already pointed this out to you, is the probability of A divided by the probability of A with the little tick mark. We already know what those numbers are. We already know that those numbers are 0.014 divided by 0.986. Now, what distinguishes this problem from the one in problem number 1 is that in problem number 1 on the homework, you were able to just divide it, get a decimal, because that's what they wanted was a decimal. Now they want a fraction. Well, how on earth do I get a fraction from these decimals? Well, what you're going to do is we are going to turn this 0.014 into a 1. And the way we're going to do that is by dividing it by 0.014. Because anything divided by itself is 1, right? If you don't believe me, put in your calculator 0.014 divided by 0.014, and you'll see that you get a 1. Well, you might recall from grade school, elementary school, middle school, that if you divide the numerator of a fraction by a number, you gotta divide the denominator by that same number. So if I do 0.986 divided by 0.014, I get rounded 70.43, which is pretty close. That's why I'm going to use my little squiggly marks to 1 over 70. Thus, what I would actually type into my homework question, where it's got the 2 little blanks, I would type in a 1 and a colon and a 70. So this right here is what I would actually type into my homework for option, or for part A, what are the odds that the taxpayer will be audited? So for part B, if you know the odds in favor of being audited, then you really kind of already know that the odds against being audited are just going to be flipped. Instead of 1 over 70, it'll be 70 to 1. But I want to go ahead and just rework this problem for you mathematically so you can just see another example. So this time, odds against the audit means we would have the probability against an audit divided by the probability in favor of an audit, which we know is the same thing as P with the A with the little tick mark, means not audited, divided by the probability of being audited. So it's those same numbers, they're just flipped, right? So if we divide everything again by 0.014, that gives us 70, approximately 70 over 1 instead of 1 over 70. So again, just kind of wanted you to see those steps so that you could see exactly where that came from.